them admission. They can't leave now. So why just do what's been done before you? Why not decide that you're going to become the remix? This is my remix of Flight of the Bumblebee, simply called The Flight. So I gotta be honest with you. That manager that Michael was talking about, once I started doing all of this stuff, he quit. You know, that's okay. Not everybody is gonna get what you're trying to do while you're trying to do it. You know, there's a place for you to be carving right now in history, but it starts now, and not everybody's gonna get where you're trying to go. That's why with reinvention, what's so important is that you have to, first of all, believe that you're never done in the first place. There is always room to grow, always new places to go, and then you're gonna have to decide to boldly accept the invitation to reinvent every time it comes your way. You as coaches are always inviting people, right? It's a vital behavior to be inviting people into the experience that you have to offer. But you can't be inviting people if you're not ready to accept an invitation yourself. How many of you are ready right now? Let's say when you leave here, you leave the summit, right? Maybe in 3 or 4 days, brand new opportunity to reinvent is gonna come your way. It's gonna stretch you, it's gonna require more. Who would still say yes? Who's ready to reinvent right now? Let me see, hands up, hands up. Oh, look at the cheers. That's in 3 or 4 days, but why wait? What if tomorrow when you woke up, you got the phone call of a lifetime, and they were saying, we need you to do things differently. We believe you got it in you, but you're gonna have to change and stretch overnight. Who would be ready to say yes tomorrow? Let me see. Oh, that is good. I gotta get a little closer to you guys. Let me see, I think we got Logan here to kind of help me to make sure that I don't mess up all my cuteness by tumbling down these stairs, y'all. Thank you, Logan. How many of you, though, would be ready to reinvent if the opportunity came sooner than later? What if the opportunity came right now? Like in front of 18,000, 19,000, 20,000 people who'd be ready right now? Something about opportunity. Men and women actually receive opportunity differently. You know, there's research that's been done on this. Now, women We women, I believe this is because we're full of so much integrity. When we see an opportunity, let's say that it has 10 qualifications. Let's say we're looking for promotion in our career field and we're trying to move up the ladder, and we're presented with this opportunity. A woman will read those 10 qualifications. She will have 7 out of the 10. And she will say, you know, I don't have those last 3. A woman will go back to school in the last 3 areas. You hear me? She will take an online course, a webinar, or something. But she won't say yes right away. This is what psychology tells us. She'll wait until she feels like she has all 10 of those qualifications. You wanna know what the dudes do? Let me tell you what the dudes do. The dudes will see that same list, the same 10 qualifications, and they'll go, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. The guy will toss his hat in the ring with 3 or 4 out of the 10 qualifications. Ladies, you gotta learn from the dudes on this one. I'm curious, I didn't ask this in the beginning, I always forget. Does anybody else in here also play the piano? I'm always curious if there are any other musicians in the room. Any of them? No, look at there, good bit of people, good. Okay, but back to my original question. Who would be ready right now if the opportunity to invent came your way and you had to hop up on this stage? Oh, look at some bold people. This lady with the blue hair, though, is catching my attention because we match, you know what I'm saying? How are you? Are you ready to come with me on stage? Come on, let's go. Big round of applause. The blue hair lady is joining me on stage. Yes, she is. What's your name? Elizabeth or Elizabeth? Everybody say hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is ready to rock it out with me on stage. Do you play the piano by any chance? No. Say it again. Listen to the question. Do you play the piano? Yes. If you don't, you see that intimidation just now? She does not play the piano. So why are you raising your hand when the pianist is asking if you want to come on stage? That must mean you're woefully underqualified for this moment, huh? Not at all. Please make your way to the stage, Elizabeth. I want you to start thinking of moments as living, breathing beings. The moment has been watching you since before you were born. It already knows your strengths and your weaknesses, and the moment has no time to waste. So when the moment knocks on your door, it didn't make a mistake. The moment knows exactly where it is, and the moment decides that when it comes to you, you gotta say yes because you've been waiting for the moment more than you know. When the moment comes, somebody like you will just keep pushing your hand out there going, if I just keep doing it, maybe she'll call on me, and you are right on stage with me, baby. Come on. Do you play piano? Oh, Lord Jesus, help me. Come on. 2 people, no piano skills whatsoever. Yes. Let me tell you, you audacious leaders, I know those of you on the floor have seen an amazing level of success in what you do, and you know how hard it is to build incredible teams. But I want to encourage you with this example. Let's make our way to the piano, ladies. How are you doing? I got it now, Logan. I got it. I can pro now. I went down once, now I can get back up. There we are. Have a seat at the piano here. We got Elizabeth, and who are you? Erin. Everybody say hi, Erin. Hi, Erin. All right, so what Erin and Elizabeth have done is they have accepted the invitation to reinvent. Right now, you are not musicians. Did I pick you before? Have I talked to you? Have we ever met? Okay, I did not plant them. Have a seat at the piano. Now, Elizabeth, I'm going to give you a simple little bass line here, okay? Just 2 notes. I play it with 1 hand, but you can play it with like 2 hands if you want. It's very simple. Back and forth. Can you keep that going? Oh wow, she's a pro. No, you keep going. You keep coming. Hold it down now. Let's hold it down. Okay. We're going to stay in that same kind of area of the keys here. I'm going to place your hand. So you got some options. You can use this note. Any of those. Anything you want. Anything right in here. That's all. Just anything you want. Yeah, you can do that. Okay. Come on, play it out. Let me tell you what a leader does. A trust the team they already have. They're not going to say, we can only grow when we get a new team. They're going to trust the team they have, and they're going to trust that they can put two completely different skill levels on the same project, and they're not going to micromanage. They're going to trust and believe in the people that they have, and then they're going to decide that the most audacious maverick leaders, they wait until their team finds their own groove. And then at just the right moment, the leader's going to lean in and make things just a little bit better.
Oh, she's shaking.
Never, ever, ever, ever. I usually pick one person who plays the piano, but I didn't this time, and it works anyway because the principle remains. We have to believe that the moments that we're in are not accidental. When we believe that, we'll believe that in advance we have already what it's going to take to master the moment. After you start to really believe now that it's time to reinvent, you're going to embrace this fourth maverick principle, which is to embrace resurrection. Remember at the beginning I asked you to embrace endings? But now I want you to start to believe that there are parts of yourself that you probably laid down in the name of focus. Maybe as your business has grown, you've forgotten your sense of humor. Maybe you've checked your faith at the door. Compassion has gotten left by the wayside. Your belief system, whatever it may be, you're not integrating it into what you do, and I'm here to tell you that it is time to go back and pick up those parts of yourself. You gotta believe now that there are parts of you that have to come back to life in order for you to reach your greatest heights. If you're trying to attract new people to what you do, you're not gonna do it being half of yourself. If you're only half of yourself, you're only gonna attract half of your audience. When I started changing how I did my concerts, first of all, stop calling yourself something you're not. Many of you have been guilty of using this word, just. I'm just a mom, I'm just a teacher, I'm just a coach. I think that when we use the word just, it is one of the biggest insults to the God who made you in the first place. I just imagine you have to go, what you mean just? All that work I put into that creation? Listen, in our efforts to be successful, in our efforts to focus, sometimes we put parts of ourselves to the side because we don't see how those parts fit. And I'm here to tell you that once I started bringing parts of myself to my concert experience, remember I said I came out and I would see audiences where no one looked like me? And I started changing the range of music I was offering. My audiences started to diversify on their own. I didn't have to set benchmarks or even initiatives. I just decided to bring more of myself to every single table, every single time. And that's what you have to do. When you leave here, if you really believe that you belong here, you must believe that you belong wherever you go. that wherever you go, there are rooms that are being opened for you, that your gifts and your talents are opening doors that no person, no human being can shut. And when you believe that, you start to decide that there are so many parts of yourself that the world would be missing out on if you didn't bring them in. I think as an African-American female in classical music, Western music, I didn't know if something like my background and culture would mix. I got curious, can I take something like Rachmaninoff? Is there to blend it with something like my heritage? Let me tell you, when you bring more of yourself, the experience that you have to offer is so much more richer for the people that you're trying to transform, because they want to transform right in front of their own eyes. What's so exciting is that when you're in the business of transformation, you decide now that you're no longer there to impress your audiences, no longer there to impress your clients, to impress your customers, to impress your trainees, but you're there to impact them instead. So when I shifted from impressing to impacting, everything else for me freed up. I no longer thought the piano was my purpose. I believed that what happened in people inside the concert experiences was my purpose. That if people were activated, they felt even like they could do anything, like they could be anything, then I had operated on purpose. Didn't matter if I missed notes. Didn't matter if I had memory slips. You know, some of us are still worried about whether or not the people we serve caught the fact that we missed the last 8 counts. Listen, we're not worried about that. When we look at you, we aspire not to be you, not to have what you have, but to live life how you live life. That's all you have to be, is serve as a reflection of what people can be. Not in terms of comparing themselves to you. I know that Rachel told you already, that is not where we want to go. Not only do you lose momentum when you compare, but you lose your place in line. And that your purpose and your destiny has an assignment to it, a timeline attached to it. And when we turn our eyes to the left or the right, what happens is we get so distracted, we start chasing someone else's dream. We start chasing someone else's assignment. So when we stay focused on what's in front of us and the assignment that's been given to you, it keeps you from worrying about what everyone else is doing. and about what everybody else is thinking about what you're doing. When I started to modify my concert experience in this way, it was risky because I was worried that maybe I would lose audiences. Maybe people would say, you know, we just wanted Mozart. She started doing that African drum and stuff. What's up with that? I had to get rid of that fear, and I had to start believing that the seats would fill up with the people who were uniquely designed to receive what I had to give. I want you to start to believe that your coaching roster, your client database, your mailing list, your social media following will fill up, not with a bunch of random likes from people who don't know you from Adam, but you'll start to be followed by people who see something in you that they want to grow into. In that way, it relieves you of the pressure of being perfect. The only thing you have to do is be powerful. In order to do that, though, you're going to have to make a commitment. I know you guys are big on commitment because I saw you outside my hotel room at 6 a.m. this morning. I would have been there with you, but I had to get my lashes on. I'm sorry, y'all. Here's something I want you to remember. You can't just leave here being inspired and motivated. You're going to have to set an arbitrary deadline to evolve. My deadline was March 14th, 2014, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. You got to get specific. That was the date of the South by Southwest Music Festival in Austin. Anybody ever heard of it? Oh my God. Every musician wants to play that festival. I was one of those musicians, and so I sent in my application. Only problem was South by Southwest doesn't really feature classical musicians. So I put on my application, if you select me, I will play the piano, make my own beats, and rap on top. I thought there is no way in the world they can turn that down, and do you know what? They picked me, y'all! They chose me! Isn't that awesome? No, it's not awesome. Stop clapping. Let me tell you why it's not awesome. It's not awesome. Because at the time of that application, I didn't know how to do any of those things. At the time of that application, all I had ever done was play the piano. I'd had somebody else make the beats for me, and I never rapped before. But all of those things were on my to-do list. Anybody got a to-do list? The things you want to do, you've been meaning to do for a while now. A couple years have passed by. It's because you didn't set an arbitrary deadline to evolve. I set this deadline, I got accepted, and I said to my husband, sweetie, I got accepted to South by Southwest. You have to understand, my husband is my high school sweetheart. I've been together since we were 15. Yes, I know, it's so sweet. Wait till I tell you what he said, though. I said, honey, I got accepted into South by Southwest, and I'm gonna rap. And he said, now, Jade, I've been with you a long time. I've seen you do a lot of things. He said, but if you're gonna rap, you must not bring shame on the family name. Listen, you're gonna have to trust now that the big things that are on your heart, you already have within you the tools you need. They're already in your possession, or they're going to be added to you just in time for you to be able to do what it is that you're doing, that you want to do. You gotta pick a date first. Mine was March 14th, and I played a piece called Black Beethoven, which ended up allowing me to be named one of the best of South by Southwest 2014. But this isn't about me, y'all. Here's what's up. When you pick a date, I promise you will rise to the occasion, because if you look at your track record, you've always done it. You can look back and see times that you've either always nailed it, or even when you failed it, you got back up and you figured it out. Either one of those are acceptable modes of operation, but you gotta pick the date first and then commit to finding the solution. The last thing that you have to do, guys, is you have to connect with another maverick. That's why you're here, right? You gotta be connected to people who move like you, think like you, groove like you, believe like you do, talk like you do, walk like you do, play like you do, laugh like you do. They've gotta be built like you. And then you wanna hold them accountable. The big dreams on their hearts, don't just let it be something they say. Make sure it's something you see them do and help them do it. I'm gonna end now with a piece. Can I rap for y'all to close it out? I'm gonna end now with a piece called Black Beethoven. And this is a piece about your story. I said before, sometimes I would show up in places and people were shocked that I got there. They didn't know how I was there or why I was there. And this is the story about some of the silly things people would say to me. But listen, when you are making big, bold moves, people are gonna say silly things and they're gonna mean well even. You're gonna have to decide not to take offense, but you're gonna take note instead. And you're gonna take notes of a moment where you can educate, inspire, entertain, and transform. Remember that as you hear this closing piece, Black Beethoven. Thank you so much, Team Beachbody!
From